Good afternoon, everybody. Carl Slicer and another edition of the Coffee Klatch series, Making Yourself Essential in 2020-21. And our guest today is Joe Stimac, CEO of AccuHire, who's a leading expert on selection and impressive lists of clients ranging from startups to global enterprises. Joe, how are you today?
Doing well. Thank you, Carl. Nice to hear from you again.
Thanks for joining us in this beautiful thunderstorm that we've got going on here. I just love
Uh,
it.
hey, it's
I
better than
just love
getting
it.
down in Houston, so I'll take it.
Yeah, Houston is definitely a hurting pup, and I think Louisiana, they're saying it as well. So I'm going to take down this shared screen here so that we can go back and see the two of us here. Let me stop sharing that for the moment and see how are you doing?
Yeah, doing really good. Enjoying life.
You know what? This is August 2020. We're about 5 months, approximately 6 months into knee deep with pandemic, a one for the history books. And as a small business owner, I was pretty concerned when the state started dividing up and saying, "Well, you're essential, you're not essential, you're essential, you're not essential," and I beg to differ with that, and of course, I guess it depends on which viewpoint you're on. Of course, we can always go back to the snowstorms when the state of Connecticut calls out sick and says, "Okay, non-essential workers don't have to come to work today," and I think that is the most hilarious thing. They are either essential and therefore should be hired and work there, or they shouldn't be hired. So turn it around and think about that little guy who's running, the convenience store, who works 17 hours a day, that may or may not be able to make his bills, and then all of a sudden they're saying, "Oh, well, we don't think you're necessarily essential," but he's got a wife and three kids to feed, and that's what bothers me a lot. So this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this series as we go into this. And Joe, tell us a little bit about your specialty and how you help businesses sharpen their pencil on their hiring.
Well, Carl, interviewing is a learned skill. Most organizations do not understand how to train their hiring managers how to perform a good interview. Most hiring managers get promoted throughout the ranks, and over time, they assume that they know how to interview. So the problem lies when they're conducting an interview, they're having a conversation. I have sat on numerous interview with organizations just to see how they do it, kind of at an evaluation session. And the most common thing is the interviewer does not control the interview. In other words, they talk too much. They don't ask good questions. They don't listen. At the end, they have to make a best guess decision. I call it a gut instinct decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been doing this, Joe?
About 25 years. So
25 years. So you're probably considered an expert in the field then.
I like to think I am. I've learned a lot of things over the years, and revised the process, and I built tools to help where the gaps are. And it has been extremely effective for my clients.
Can you tell the audience here today a few of your past clients or current clients that you're allowed to disclose without asking us to sign off a NDA here?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can talk about a few of them. I just can't mention names. I'm sorry. But one is a global rental car company. They had a huge turnover problem. They had their initial position where they hired college graduates to start into the program. Within 3 months, they had anywhere from 60 to 74% turnover, which is significant. And they were trying everybody to help improve that. They invited me to talk to them and said, yeah, go ahead.
Wait a second. Let back up the horse.
Okay.
What was the turnover rate they were experiencing?
74%.
74%.
Yeah,
So
3 out of 4 people were leaving in 3 months.
wow. 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 Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had the same reaction. It's funny you said that. I said, am I hearing you correctly? Are you saying 7.4? Yes. That's insane. So the chairman was there and he said, look, this is so important. I said, so what's your goal? He said, I would love to just reduce it by 10%. That would be tremendous. But I said, all right. So my question was, what, obviously I'm not the first person that has attempted to reduce it. Who did you hire? What did they tell you to do? Well, we hired a company out of New York that said we do several things. We need to split the job in two. We cannot have educated, college graduates that have to vacuum out cars or run them through car washes. I said, all right. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you have anybody here that doesn't mind washing cars, has a degree, suit and tie, dress, doesn't matter? He goes, I got thousands of them. I said, all right, that's a faulty argument. You're hiring the wrong people. So he said, what's the next? You have to pay in the top 10% if you want to hire in the top 10%. You cannot hire in the top 10% if you pay in the bottom 10%. I said, again, let's ask that question. Do you have anybody that doesn't mind washing cars and the poor pay? So the guy, I have thousands of them. I said, all right, there's another faulty argument. What you need to do is you need to hire a different type of person. If you have the people that are staying that don't mind it, they see the long-term picture, it goes back to asking good questions. My next question was, what kind of questions are you asking? So, well, we have a decentralized hiring process. I said, what does that mean? They said, our hiring managers, our district managers, area managers, whatever, can ask whatever they feel, that's important to them. I said, all right, there's the first problem. Give me a question. First question was, well, how would you sell me this pen? So, all right, what exactly is a good answer? What's it tied to? It was all hypothetical. I said, all right, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Another hypothetical question. That's a horrible question. How many of you, out there are watching this think right now, where would you be today, 3 years ago? Nobody saw this coming. So that's a faulty question. I said, all right, if I were to revise your question process, your hiring questions, it will make a substantial difference to you. He goes, really? I said, yeah. You're asking hypothetical questions. The questions can be answered by whatever I come up with. I can't substantiate it. It's the best guess. It's BS. What I need to know is what you've done in the past. I started using behavioral interviews. In other words, past performance is the best predictor of future performance. Everybody has a history. Everyone has transferable skills. I need to know what you've done in the past that's similar to what I need you to do. So I wrote the questions. They started listening. And all of a sudden, instead of being a 50-50 conversation, it became an 80-20 conversation with the interviewer doing 20% of talking. All they did was basically they steered the conversation. The applicant did 80% of the talking, which served 2 points. Number one, you're getting a tremendous amount of performance information. Number two is you're validating the applicant. You're making them feel important. Hey, wow, you're actually listening to me. You're not over talking me. You're not, we're not having conversation. You're not asking these silly questions. The key was that once the applicant got that, said, wow, that's a really professional organization. They really want to get to know me. And if I don't get the job, there's another benefit. Hey, right. Somebody else deserves to have that job.
Right. So sticking with the pandemic affecting us here, how has the pandemic changed the employment landscape?
There's about 40 million people right now that may be unemployed, and that's a horrible number. It sounds terrible, but right now it is going to be a lot of people, a lot of talent available for employers to, what do you want to call it, upgrade their hiring process, upgrade the people that they want to hire. There's a tremendous amount of people that will be fighting for the positions that are out there. A lot of jobs will never come back.
Right.
What that means is that these people are going to have to start looking at their transferable skills to say, look, I used to do this, but when I was doing that, I used communication, decision-making, goal setting, achieving, customer focus, all these skills. I can bring those skills to you. And that's the key. So there's two parts of the equation. One is the applicants have to get smarter. They have to understand that, look, I may never get the job I held again. So I need to find a different role, but I need to present my transferable skills, which is not hard. We've got a program for that. For the hiring managers, they need to identify what exactly that they're looking for by asking very specific questions. We have a tool called Interview Builder that helps them do that very quickly. So the idea is this: if you write your questions up front, you create a structured interview. You just have to sit back and listen and gather information and clarify with the follow-up questions. That's all you're doing. It makes it a very fair, defensible process. That's the key. So if you want to build a world-class organization, it's just a small change, but it makes a massive difference.
What can displaced workers do to find employment again?
What they have to do is think about, okay, what do I want to do next? What jobs are in demand right now? What transferable skills do I have that can meet that demand? For example, let's say let's say I'm a lawyer, okay, great. But, right now, maybe or maybe not, they're busy. What else can I do? Well, you're a great communicator. You're a good writer. You're good attention to detail. You're good at so many other things. Good at interpersonal skills. Any one of those could be transferred to any other job out there. Look at the universities. Look at other organizations out there. They may not need to have the legal degree. If you have a customer service background, that can fit any organization. I don't care if you're in the restaurant business. You can meet organizations that have a customer focus, customer centric, focus. So sort of those. Key is to understand and come up with your examples, what you've done that's similar to what they need to do, and that makes all the difference.
My notes are falling down here. What opportunities does this present to employers, do you think?
Well, employers right now have a tremendous amount of applicants that'll be applying for the limited number of jobs. They can be extremely selective in who they bring in. And the reason why that's important, if the employer trains their managers how to hire well, they can build a world-class organization with fewer people. Jack Welch said something very important. He said, 80% of my work is done by 20% of my workers. Okay, that's the high performers. If you identify how they work, what they do, then ask those questions that will help you identify those top 20% of people. People are creatures of habit. A low performer is going to be a low performer. A high performer, no matter what the task, is going to be a high performer because that's their nature. The trick is you have to find a high performer that also fits well with your organization, that actually likes the work. That's the key to success. I may like a job, or I may do well in the job, but if I don't like it, I'm not going to last. If I find something that I love doing and I'm also, qualified to do that, I would love to come to work every day. I'll make your organization hum. It'll be a shining star for the industry. That's the key. It's not that hard.
And what mistakes are the managers making these days?
Are who making?
The managers, the hiring managers?
The hiring managers, for the most part that I've seen organizations, they don't have the time to train them. They don't want to invest in the resources to train them, which is very unfortunate. It usually takes a painful hire or wrongful hire suit to wake them up. And that can be avoided very easily. If you train your managers how to really interview, be a great listener, you're going to do extremely well. You're going to, number one problem that I see is they talk too much. They oversell a position. They don't listen. They don't ask great questions. So if you think about it, when you put that all together, at the end, the best you can do is say, Carl, I like you. I guess I'm going to give you a shot. That's not a good answer. I always ask them, what specific examples did they give you that lead you to believe they're going to be an exceptional performer? I don't know. I like them. Well, that's not a good reason. I need real examples. I need you to tell me something. What proof did you get during your interview that says they're going to be an exceptional performer? Right. They said that they really like working with customers. They said, what proof did you get out of that? Well, I didn't get any proof. They just stated that. Well, that's an opinion. Anybody can have an opinion. They're going to tell you what you want to hear as a manager. The trick is to have them prove it. So give me a specific example of a time you worked with a difficult customer. What was the problem? What did you do? How did you calm the customer down? How did the customer respond? How did the customer turn out? Now, that's a great interview because you cannot fake it in a real interview because you're asking for a real example and you cannot make up the story. You have to tell the truth. And what's interesting, I teach people how to do a behavioral baseline. What that means is when you ask the first question, tell me about yourself, they start talking. I look for several things: the rate of speech, eye contact, any weird behaviors, if they have fidgeting going on, that's under no stress. That's my baseline behavior. So when I ask a tough question, tell me about a difficult customer you worked with. or tell me about a tough sale, you have to go all of a sudden, exactly. They start changing, the behavior, the rate of speech, or the eye contact goes away and ums start happening exactly. If it's not from the baseline, it alerts me. It puts up a red flag. So, okay, they don't have it. The probing questions really get to it, and they realize, okay, I'm not the person then. I am not the performer you're looking for. And that's easy for me to make that determination.
You mentioned biases as playing a huge role in the selection decision. Can you explain that a little further?
Repeat that again.
Biases.
Oh, biases. Yeah. We're all emotionally programmed. For example, when I train hiring managers how to interview, I said, all right, I want you to notice immediately how you feel about that applicant as soon as you see them come through the door. Are you comfortable with them? Are you uncomfortable with them? Okay, within the first minute, you're starting to make an impression on the applicant. What was that impression? Untrained managers make the decision up front and use the whole interview to validate the initial impression. For example, weak handshake, lack of eye contact. Well, if you have any cultural awareness at all, some Middle Eastern countries do not have a firm handshake. That's normal. Korean culture, for example, considered it rude if I look you in the eye, especially if I consider you my superior. I'm being very polite to you if I don't look and make the eye contact with you. Not knowing that, you're going to, discount a great applicant. So it's, cultural sensitivity is very important right now. We have to understand we're becoming a more, what do you call it? Not homogeneous, but diverse country. We have to be sensitive to different cultures that come in. So the key is to get the information you need without having to make a decision based on faulty information. In other words, your own biases. So number one is that confirmation bias. So I look at you, I make a decision on you, I confirm it, and I use the rest of the interview to confirm that initial impression. That's a bad way to go. With behavioral, I tell them, look, park that initial decision, wait till the end, become a facilitator for the organization. All you're doing is become a facilitator. At the end, I want you to make a case for or against that person to me based on everything you learned about them. And think about that. Now, here's a weird thought. How many people would propose to someone after a 50-minute interview or 50-minute date? Think about that. That's what you're doing. You're inviting them to your family and to your work family. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a person that may work out. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to mentor them, train them, to coach them, whatever it is, and try to get them to assimilate. It's not going to work. It's easier to make the hiring decision, and it all goes back to asking the right questions up front. If you identify the questions, the success factor questions up front, you can sit back, relax, and gather information, and it makes the decision so much easier.
Are you a big believer in the more questions, the better off you are?
Well, not necessarily more. I'm a big believer in asking the right questions, really high value questions. I can have a conversation with you all day and have nothing, or I can ask 10 incredibly targeted questions that I can give 5 years of your performance out of you. That's the difference, understanding that.
So a friend of mine runs a motorcycle shop where they buy and refurbish motorcycles, and they run about 600 motorcycles a year through the business. One of the positions, besides the mechanics, one of the positions that they have a problem finding good help for, maybe that good help is the wrong title at this point, is detailers when they're done refurbishing the motorcycle. They're looking for somebody that'll go in and take time and perfection to polish that down to a showroom example. What would you give me some examples of that kind of an entry level position, Joe?
Okay. First of all, what you just described here, I need to hire someone who has a demonstrated history of commitment to task. So when I ask you, tell me about a project you did that you may not enjoy doing. What was it? How did you do it? What was the outcome? Was it a great outcome? Or, looking back, what could you have done differently? Well, I could have paid more attention to it. Okay, right there, you're gone. Next, let's look at conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is a competency that says, no matter what I give you, you're going to do the right thing. You're going to go the extra mile. A conscientious person is someone who says, you know what? You gave me a task. You're paying me. I'm going to I'm going to do my best to make you proud of me. So that competency is huge. I wish people understood just the power of that. That competency it's something that starts out at a very early age. A person that is high in conscientiousness will always do the right thing. They'll be an honest person. They see a wallet on the road, they'll find the person, they'll try to find the person, then give it back to them.
Well,
So,
when I worked at one of the bigger organizations in Hartford, um, we had this shift work that we had to do, and I was always amazed how many people in this is a security guard company that I was working for, and I only was there for about 6 months because I lost a lot of weight because of my nerves over there. But one of the things I could not get over was how many people would do a no call, no show. You were scheduled to show up for work. You had been given a job. You had a uniform. You had to be there at 3 o'clock. I'm the type that if I have to be in at 3 o'clock, I'm there at 2:30, reviewing last night's reports, making sure that the place is still there, checking in with some people that what do we need to do to be able to make people understand that consideration is high on expectation.
well, it's not a high expectation. You're just hiring the wrong people. You are giving away a job to someone who is not high in conscientiousness. They're not high in commitment to task. Their honesty and integrity may be questionable. I mean, whatever it is, it's like, hey, I'm here for a paycheck instead of I'm here to help you really succeed. That's the problem with people these days. If you don't understand how to interview well, you're going to hire those people. They come across great during an interview, and you start thinking, wow, this person really interviewed well. They're going to do well for me. They get there, and it's like, they're a different person, and it's like, wow, what happened to them? This is not the person I hired, because they've been coached how to be good at interviews. A behavioral interview does not allow the applicant to take control. You have total control of the interview. You get the information you need to make an informed decision, and the questions need to be tough. So, tell me. I like to use the failure question. Tell me about a time when you failed to meet an employer's expectations. What was it? What did you do? What happened? What could you have done differently? What was the outcome? All these things. I really want to get to know the person very well, and I have a limited amount of time, so the questions have to be extremely high yield. We have a database that's about 3 inches of nothing but questions. You can pick and create a custom interview packet in about 15 minutes. It's extremely effective.
Okay.
That's for the simplicity of it. When you push print, the whole package assembles how to open the interview, how to ask the questions, do the follow-ups, and even how to close the interview. And there's another thing that I want to test the offer. Most people don't even know that's even available. So the question is, if I were to extend a job offer to you today, what one hesitation or reservation would you have in accepting? What that question does, it puts it in through your filters. What did you hear about this job? I want to know from your eyes. Since I've asked you every question as part of the job, you are getting a realistic job preview, because I know that you did not read the job description that thoroughly. So now you're seeing exactly what we're looking for. You can say, you ask a lot of questions about networking or whatever it is, or about customer focus. I'm just not that interested in that area, or it's not one of my strong areas. Okay, well, thank you for telling me. Next, so it makes your life easy. They self-select out. But if you don't ask it, you're going to get people in. You may offer a job to them, and they're like, I thought about it. It's really not that exciting for me. I don't want this job. So by finding out before the interview is concluded, you know exactly who you need to focus on, or you need to keep going. Never assume just because you want them that they want you. That's what Hewlett Packard found out years ago.
Really? Joe, we got about 5 minutes left here on this interview. This one question I've been dying to ask you. Any advice on how to get employees engaged in their work?
Engaged in their work, okay.
Yeah.
It goes back to the 4 human needs. All right, you have to understand the 4 human needs. You're welcome to Google them. If you don't know what they are, look them up. What are the 4 basic human needs? The question that I train the people that I work with, the hiring managers, I said, all right, now you hired them. After a month, I want you to ask one question, and I want you to really, 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 really listen. And the question is this: when I ask you a question, I want you to think about it and tell me tomorrow. Come back to work tomorrow and tell me the answer. And the question is, when you felt most valued by me, what did I do? That's it. That question is so powerful. It has changed organizations. So the next question after 24 hours, they come back and says, you know what? I've been thinking all night long. I never really felt that valued by you. Okay, we've got a big problem here. The next question, then what you have to do is, as a manager, you have to ask the next question. What can I do to make you feel valued? That is even more important. So now what they're going to say is, well, when you give me instructions, I may be a little slow on understanding exactly what you want. I would really appreciate if you would take 3 minutes and walk me through exactly the milestone, what you want. Tell me what you want. I'm happy to do that. But if I'm not sure, I'm going to try to do what I think you want. And then we're going to have an argument. You're going to make me feel bad at the end that, hey, that's not what I want. Are you stupid or what? Then that's not going to make me feel valued. That's just going to depress me and I'm going to be disengaged. And that's not good for either one of us. So I have seen hiring managers actually break down and start crying. Said, you know what? I am so sorry. I never realized I didn't make you feel valued. I thought we were doing good.
Is that right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that question, you got to do it one at a time with each one of your employees.
Yeah.
It's about 5 seconds. Say, hey, Carl, come in here. I want to talk to you. I'm going to ask you one question. I want you to think about it. Give me an answer tomorrow. What did I do when you felt most valued by me? That's it. Come back tomorrow and tell me. And that starts the conversation for the first time that the employee has finally been felt valued.
You know what? That's one of those synergy questions too, because it's it takes two people to partake in the process of that. And how can it not be a learning experience for the manager? And the other thing, it could very well be that you pick up on something that, you're going down the left side of the ramp and you don't want to go down that left. You want to go down the right side of the ramp and not get run over by the bus coming up, And you know what? Maybe the other coincidental, Joe, this is a great gift that you're giving everybody watching this today. Because think about it, here's 30 days into the relationship and it's still a new situation. They could very well still be on, a probationary period. They could be in a break-in period. I've even seen some clients put them on as a 1099 first before they put them on as an employee W-2. And that could be like, well, you stopped me from drinking on the job, and I'm grateful, for you hiring me. That's a good one, Joe.
BMW North America actually used to hire people using a temporary firm. After 90 days, they had the option of saying, hey, now we welcome aboard or find me a replacement. There was no issue, because the temp, they can let them go immediately if they don't work out. So that was a smart move. The key here, as I mentioned earlier, is interviewing is a learned skill. Good management is also a learned skill. If you put the two together, you end up an extremely high-performing organization. And I will end with one example. I helped a company years ago in 2002. They had 12 people. One of the gentlemen heard about my work, knew about my work. He said, I've seen your results from another organization. We'd like to bring you in and help us become a world-class organization. I said, all right, fine. Today, in 2020, they're a 1,000-person organization. They have less than 3% turnover. Their productivity is off the charts. It's because they hire the right people. It is a great place to work. That's the key.
3% is unheard of. I mean, that's just remarkable.
Well, it's actually less than 3%. There's always going to be some failures, but that's insane. With the caliber, the quality of the people they have, it is a who's who organization.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in 2,000 people or better and dominate the world with it, what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up now, and I'm going to share our audience with your overview one more time. And while we're wrapping this up, I want to say thank you today, Joe, for taking the time out and coming in today. And this is a treat. Yeah, I really do. When you can walk away being a better person, a better manager, better HR manager, That's why I'm putting you out there like this, because I believe in your product very much so. And there's your contact information. And we'll be talking to you again soon, Joe. Thank you very much.
Carl, always a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Take care.